G'day folks, Sapper here with another World of Warships video. Welcome to In-Depth, the series with theory crafting and analysis where we see how deep rabbit holes can get. Operations, accessed via the Scenarios mode, were added into the game way back in 2017 with update 0.6.6. Operations are PvE content with specific win conditions, secondary missions, and computer opponent spawns. They offer more rewards than co-op, but fewer than random battles. When released, each op came with a range of rewards for completing it to a certain criteria. Over the years, different operations have been added and then taken away, subject to bugs and balance. Wargaming has stated time and again that scenarios aren't a priority and cited a range of reasons, but I think they should be. In this video, I'm going to discuss how operations could be improved and expanded, and why I believe they should be for the overall health of World of Warships. So here is an in-depth look at scenario mode and the potential of operations. First up, some caveats. I'm biased towards ops. I love operations as a concept and would play them much more if they were supported, expanded, or had more options. This is an opinion piece. A brainstorm of sorts. I don't expect everyone to agree with me. That's fine. Hearty discussion from conflicting viewpoints is the spice of life. Be sure to go nuts in the comments. In line with that, if you have a different or better idea about ops, I want to know about it. A civilized exchange of ideas is healthy for everyone. Currently, scenario mode has 5 operations. For tier 6 ships, Defensive Naval Station Newport, Aegis, Killer Whale, Raptor Rescue, and for Tier 7 ships, Narai. Most of these were added into the game back in 2017, and as such there isn't a large number of players still playing them, but those that do tend to be dedicated. There are many ways that operations could be improved, some simple, some complex. Just 1 or 2 improvements would be nice, but for a truly enhanced scenario mode, I would implement the following. Support operations properly in missions and rewards. Regular new operations. Expanded tier options. Tier variety within a single team. Difficulty options. Variety within each operation. And integrate scenario mode into game mode progression. Don't worry, I'll expand on the specifics shortly. But none of these ideas should sound radical or revolutionary, as most of these elements have at least been partially implemented at some point in scenario mode's life. Sadly, they have never been properly implemented or done so in coordination. Before we get any further, don't forget to hit the subscribe and notification buttons if you want to see more of my content. So for the specifics. Supporting operations properly in missions and rewards. The average player in World of Warships is more than happy to play ops from time to time if given half a chance, but when you can't complete many missions and campaigns in them, why would you? When there are methods to complete missions in co-op, but not operations, there's a problem. Operations need mission and campaign availability that's at least on par with co-op, if not greater, to reflect its position between co-op and randoms. Currently, this is not the case. As part of any reinvigoration of scenarios mode, new content would be needed. So we need regular new operations. 1 new operation per year would be a start. 2 per year would be ideal. More than that would be a blessing. An easy starting point is fixing and adding back most of the removed operations into the rotation. This will immediately add some variety into the mix for newcomers and those who miss the old ops. Closed modes are great for the testing of new mechanics and functions. Operations could provide this in a first stage manner. Using a new operation to see how a new mechanic could work in-game is great for everyone. I had honestly thought that this was what the original scenario mode was partly for, first round testing. At worst with this sort of thing, we get a cool new operation. Also in line with this is that operations can help create dynamic and interesting new maps, something that the game has been missing recently. Expand tier options. By this I mean scenario mode as a whole needs to cater for more tiers. Start by implementing new operations for other tiers, and then expand each individual op to have a 3-tier spread. For example, Narai would shift from tiers 7 to tiers 6 to 8. Enemies should be dynamically scaled in line with this, but more on that later. In an ideal world, the mode would eventually cater for tier 3 to tier 10. Lower tiers provide a better entry point for new players, higher tiers provide options for more veteran players or greater challenges. At the very least, tier 4 to tier 8 should be available. Eventually the idea would be to have some operations for tiers 3 to 5, 4 to 6, and so on up to 8 to 10. By offering these types of options, players who aren't at the most advanced skill levels are offered an alternative to co-op that has more variety. However, all players could benefit, such as those who are frustrated with randoms or ranked, having somewhere to drop into and have some fun, rather than disengaging from the game entirely. Disengaging while still frustrated with the game leaves a sour taste in the player's mouth. Continuing to play in a stressful mode is even worse. Why not de-stress in ops? Tier variety within a single team. This somewhat links back to the expanded tier options that I mentioned earlier. What I mean by tier variety within a team is that if you enter into an op, there are more than just the one tier of ships in your team. I would have a 2-tier spread. For example, there would be times when tier 6s and tier 7s are on a team for Narai, and times when tier 7s and tier 8s are on a team for Narai. As mentioned earlier, enemy scaling would need to be implemented to support this. This type of system creates more dynamic ops in the same way that it offered ranked battles in 10.5 a bit more variety. Most people will play top tier, but a dynamic PvE mode is the place to relish a challenge without too much concern for the outcome, not PvP, which is often the case now. Difficulty options. For many players, operations are too easy or a bit boring. By having more difficult options, it makes them more engaging. Offer the player a checkbox option where you can enter a queue for multiple difficulties at once to streamline it. The key to creating different difficulties is to reward them appropriately, be it credits, XP, signals, or other things. By doing so, people will play them and enjoy them. Other games offer a basic credit multiplier at the end for higher difficulties, 25% for example. In the current economy, this would function like an extra mission, camo, or signal bonus. Difficulty options could be provided by enemy scaling, enemy numbers, better AI, or different spawn locations. These types of things help provide much needed variety within each operation. There needs to be a decent amount of variation in the enemies that spawn in each scenario in number, tier, and type. Knowing that a Clemson, a Dugay, and a Wyoming will always spawn broadside on the right-hand side in Narai, for example, removes any need to plan otherwise. It's easy to learn, easy to account for, and just silly in a video game in 2021. Integrate scenario mode into mode progression. Operations have the potential to smoothen new player progression, and it is needed for that. Right now, a new player gets to tier 4 and starts running into players who know how to punish a broadside, how to aim, how to mitigate aircraft carrier damage, and how to position effectively. Co-op doesn't really teach this. Randoms doesn't teach this effectively, and I shouldn't need to mention why ranked is a bad place for people to learn these things. A closed low-tier operation that's fun and has things prompting the correct sort of behaviour for a specific type of skills would be ideal. Obviously with an option to turn the tutorial prompts off. What about an operation that shows the reticles for types of aircraft as they approach you as a means to teach how aircraft carrier attacks function? What about a mid-tier operation against tier 5 to tier 8 battleships with some sort of dynamic overlay to teach different armour values for HE use or overmatch? Again, give the option to toggle it off and still be able to play the op as normal. Fundamentally, a healthy and supported scenario mode is the perfect solution to shortfalls between co-op and randoms, and thus integrating the game modes in a better manner. All these ideas that I've mentioned are a good starting point. There are plenty of minor tweaks that I think could be implemented that could improve the mode with some or all of the changes I've mentioned. A good example is matchmaking changes that allow you to pick a ship and queue for a range of operations instead of only one. It would function much in the same way that when you queue for randoms you can enter a battle in any map for that tier bracket. Given its scenario mode, you could even give players a limited number of opt-out votes once there is enough operations variety. You could even implement this in the current system by having 2 queues, one for the weekly operation, one for the rest. Why would you play both? Maybe there's limited time rewards for the weekly operation. There are so many possibilities. There are so many more things that could be said, but this is enough of a start to get you thinking. Maybe just a little. Maybe. In conclusion, the scenario mode we currently have is wasted potential on life support. Operations have the potential to smoothen new player progression, and there is a need for it, not to mention better integration between co-op and randoms. The exponential escalating difficulty for entry-level players, the frustrations we all get in randoms or ranked, and the dearth of in-game instructional content has a possible solution. Operations. By solving these issues, World of Warships can be a healthier, more well-rounded game with less rough edges and better appeal to new and casual players, and better retention for players of all skill levels. World of Warships is a free-to-play game. Improving player retention at all levels means a better game for everyone. I know that Wargaming isn't currently looking at scenario mode, and I don't expect them to see this video and suddenly wake up to the potential of operations. What I do hope is that this video has given you some thought as to how the mode could be, and how well it could sit within the game's progression and mode systems. Support operations properly in missions and rewards. Regular new operations. Expanded tier options. Tier variety within a single team. Difficulty options. Variety within each operation. Integrated scenario mode into game mode progression. I think that these sorts of changes wouldn't just be good for scenario mode, but for World of Warships as a whole. What do you think? If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and let me know your ideas for scenario mode and operations down in the comments. If you disagree with me or think I missed something, please let me know down below. If you wish to discuss this in depth or discuss my other video content, please join my Discord, Dark Lab. Link will be down in the comments. We have some really cool tools there, including the amazing minimap renderer by Not Your Father, as well as a great group of players of all skill levels that are happy to help in any way they can. Thanks for watching, stay healthy, and I'll catch you in the next one.